Everybody, we're back. We thought we'd go old school with a mobile phone to do Facebook Live this time. There's a few gremlins in the system, but nevertheless, here we are again. Hopefully this is going to work a little bit more clearly this time. So hey, I'm Steve at Blackstar HQ on this afternoon in UK, Northampton, and we're looking at talking about the artist range of amplifiers. The reason being, I generally do one of these a month to talk about product and hopefully give you a little bit more insight into what I do when I'm training around the world on the gear. But more recently I've done some gigs with my current band that I'm playing in, whereby it's the first time I've really put a full board through an Artist 30, and we did the Bristol Guitar Show a couple of weeks ago, and there was a lot of people saying that it sounded just amazing, and it certainly felt amazing as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about running pedals through these amps, which is what it's all about. The Artist series amplifiers are two in the range. There's a 15 watt and a 30 watt. The 15 is 112, the 30 watt is 212. The speakers are Celestion V-type, so they're very much like a vintage 30 feel, but a little bit lighter. So let's go back in time a little bit. Blackstar started 10 years ago. It's our 10th anniversary this year. Where's the party poppers? So it's a big year for us, and when we first started as a company, we brought out the Artisan range of amps, which were hand-wired, boutique, point-to-point, beautiful products, boutique styling. In fact, there's one there. That's an Artisan 30 on top of a 212. You'd probably recognise it if you've seen them before. And that's really one of the only amps we do that sort of specifically takes pedals really, really well. Everything after the Artisan was sort of multi-channel. So although the clean channels on our products are more than suitable for multi-effects and pedals, the multi-channel thing lends itself to be okay, I've got an amplifier that can have clean, crunch, overdrive, lead, and so on. But the Artisan is very much the sort of the sought-after amp for our artists. And what they go for when they're sort of touring and using pedals. So we thought we'd build a PCB based one. This is running ECC 83s in the preamp and 6L6s in the power amp stage. Very bell-like valve to use, lots of headroom, almost American-like you might say. The cool thing about this amp is it's got a bit of a story, of course, and it uses two channels, not your typical clean and crunch or clean and dirty channel. There's a clean channel on channel 1, which is just volume and tone. Interestingly, that channel bypasses the preamp stage, so there's no preamp saturation there at all. It's all about power amp saturation on that channel, and if you really push it all the way and you've got super hot pickups, then you're going to be getting some really nice grind out of it, but it's certainly not high gain. Same goes for channel 2, but on channel 2 we've got preamp and power amp working together as normal, with a tone, stack, bass, middle, treble, and Blackstar's infinite shake feature, giving you your American or British style tone stacks. So you've got a little bit more EQ going on there, as opposed to the single tone control. And then we've got a digital reverb circuit in there with switchable reverb between dark vintage and light shimmering reverb, which again is really handy to be able to choose. Now, most of us these days are into pedals. It's a big business out there, as I'm sure you know. And what we tend to do as guitar players, we often tune the pedals to the amp. And this I'd like you to kind of consider as being an amplifier that you can tune to your pedals, because there's plenty of clean choice going on here, and this is what it's all about, a clean platform. Moving to the pedal board. Just to run you through what I've got on here, It's pretty simple really, it might look like a lot, but it's pretty basic. It's just different stages of overdrive. So here we have a couple of vocal effects that I use for different bands that I'm in. This one gives me delays and reverbs, this one gives me harmony if I need it, if I'm playing in a trio and stuff like that, and only one or two of us singing. So this is the chain, this is the main chain, starting with a tuner, into a exotic EB boost, which I keep on constantly. It just gives me a really nice warm depth to the sound, and there's a lot of guitar players that do this. So this is the EP boost off. It's engaged. It just gives me a really nice rich warm tone. I've got an exotic RC booster, which really for me I use in conjunction with the Visual Sound Route 66. This gives me my sort of tube screamer sort of thing, if you like, and this is a built-in compressor on the opposite side. And when I want a bit more grunt out of this, I dial in the RC booster. So I don't really use that a lot until I need to just build that up a bit more. This is a Bogner Lagrange. This is my sort of high gain stage, if you like. There's a few settings of gain on here, but I've got it set to medium at low gain, which is sort of where I'm at with the sort of bands that I play in currently. I'm not really doing a high gain situation. It's more Americana, country, blues, rock sort of stuff. I've got a Rufus Sir Fuzz here, which again I don't really use that often, but it's really a gnarly sound. That's sort of the gnarly section, compiled with an EH Pog, which I use generally every now and then. I've got a volume from Dunlop and also a wah, and over to the modulations and the delays and stuff that's going through the effects loop, which I'll talk a bit more in depth in a moment. But the Line 6 DL4, it's been a mainstay for quite a long time for me. If it's good enough for Prince, it's good enough for me, I think. It's a great little pedal, and it gives me 3 sorts of delays. Then I've got a Strymon Blue Sky for my reverbs, favourite, and a standard spring, and then more of a sort of shimmer. I've got a Latitude Wampler, which is my tremolo for the country stuff that I do. And then I've got a Digitake drop tune if ever I need to drop tune and sort of get a baritone thing going on. And then a micro amp. And what's going through the effects loop is everything from the phaser. Sorry, I missed the phaser off. There's a phaser, reverb, tremolo, delay, and the micro amp. Now, you might think, why is a micro amp going through the effects loop? And I'll tell you a little story. A good friend of mine years ago was very lucky enough to support a band called Skid Row, if anyone remembers Skid Row. And when I was watching him play, he was using the same head as me at the time. And like a lot of people out there, I was sort of searching for something that would bring my lead tone out of the mix if I was performing live. And I could never really find anything, volume pedals, EQ pedals, all that sort of stuff. And I physically saw him press something on stage to play a lead break at that time. And his sound just came out of the mix. It was wonderful. So I said to him in the bar afterwards, what was going on there? Because you're not famous enough to have your own engineer behind the desk switching levels for you. And he said it was just an EQ pedal. And I said, no, I've tried that. I've sort of pushed the mids on an EQ pedal to try and bring it out of the mix. It doesn't really give me that lift. What were you using? And he said an EQ pedal, but through the effects loop. So that really changed my vision about effects loops, and it's not just for modulations and choruses and delays and reverbs and so on, but you can use things like a micro amp, you can use an EQ pedal, you can use an LT boost, obviously starting quite low and then building up. Don't just go like that with the gain. But what you get is basically by that pedal bypassing the preamp, so it's pushing the power amp stage. What I might do is explain effects loops as well. This might help a few people out there. It's not technical in any way, but this is the way it was explained to me, and I really understood it quickly. Valve amplifiers, if you can imagine preamp valves and power amp valves, preamp is where you get your saturation, your distortions, your drive. Power amp valves give you your volume and power. An effects loop sits in between the two and bypasses the preamp. So that's why you generally put in an effects loop. Delay, chorus modulation, like we've already discussed. You don't really put your crybabies or distortions or fuzz boxes or anything like that through there. You want those to work with your preamp. But you can use like what I've got here, a micro amp, a boost, anything like that, an EQ pedal, and it will give you that lift if you're a lead guitar player. So just a quick example of that. Like I said, my micro amp is going through the loop as well as all my mods and delays, but if I just select a few tones to show you, I'm going to go from the visual sound, which gives me a tube screamer sort of thing. I'm going to give that a little bit of a boost, then take that away, and then go for a high gain, and then I'll push the micro amp and you'll see what kind of level we can get. It's pretty cool, and it really lifts you out of the mix if you like it. So hopefully that was a good example of like just building up drives together, working pretty well, and then using the micro amp to give you an eventual really big lift. So yeah, what else is going on? The fuzz, I don't really use it that often, but it works really well with this amplifier. It's a very gnarly sound, and a couple of my favourite guitar players generally use fuzz quite a bit, so I sort of went down that route and tried it. I don't use it that often, but it's kind of nice to have it on the board. So yeah, one thing that an effects loop does as well for you is it makes everything seem like it's in the mix of your guitar effects, but not too in your face. Do you know what I mean? So if I just run a high gain and put a delay on, we can hear the delay there, obviously. But it was in the mix, but it wasn't too in your face, and there's nothing wrong with putting those sorts of effects through the front end, but the effects loop for me just works smoother and cleaner, if you like. So one of the important things about this amp, and I think if you're a guy that works in a retail store, music retail store, like I used to, and you get used to sounds of amplifiers, you can hear different things going on with different channels, but I think in a situation where a customer might try this, or you might try this, and you were left to your own devices in the sort of a room with a few guitars and the amp, you would kind of think, why is there two channels that are sort of clean? You'd start to question, what's that giving me? Because on its own, you can feel a difference, but it's not a massive difference. So just a quick sort of demonstration of that, jumping from channel 1 to channel 2. Obviously we're on a phone right now, so you might not be able to hear that distinctly, but there is a difference there. But what gives you the distinct change of tonalities when you're running stomp boxes through there. So for example, I've been on channel 1 for the majority of this demo so far, but if I jump to channel 2 with some of my pedals running, you will notice, for me, more of an American sort of tighter mid sound. So I'll jump from channel 1 to 2. Your ears sort of need to adjust to it, but once they adjust to that tonality, you quickly get used to the feel of what the amp's giving you. And that's a really big part of the amp. I mean, I'm running the infinite shape feature on channel 2, which only works on channel 2, currently all the way over to sort of the UK side, but it's still giving me more of that sort of American feel. But if I move the ISF around, again, you can see how versatile channel 2 is. I wasn't adjusting any EQ there, it was just the ISF, so that's how important ISF can be in shaping the sound in your head, and that's Blackstar's motto, giving you the most tools that we can to help you find your own tone. Let's face it, if you buy an amplifier that's clean to run pedals through, maybe hotter pedals than I've got maybe, with more high gains levels, you generally have one clean tone with a bit of EQ. What Artist is all about is giving you many, many choices. So, I mean, typically when I'm travelling around the globe, I can't always take my larger pedal board with me. I run 2 or 3 pedal boards for different gigs and different venues. So typically when I go away, I travel with Blackstar's LT low tension drive and the LT boost, and I stack them together, and this gives me sort of my drive, and this I put pre-drive, which acts as more of a sort of tube screamer on a drive channel, and they work amazingly well. So this isn't a case of if you have expensive pedals and you put them through this amplifier, it's going to sound really rosy and really great. Low cost items sound really great through this as well. As well as having the vintage look about it, the silver thread in fret, the top loader, chicken head knobs. It's a bit dark to see probably, but it's very vintage styled, but under the hood we've got, of course, the effects loop, emulated line out, reverb choice. So it's a mixture of vintage and modern features set, if you like. So yeah, let's maybe try a loop. I've got a loop function on the delay. Try some reverb, some more ambient. sort of loop just running there, and that's another thing that the effects loops are great for, just running loopers through there, because generally if you put them in the front end, it's very difficult unless you've got pre-effects sorting out all your high gains and cleans and so on. So yeah, that's sort of a brief explanation. I'm really enjoying using these. I prefer the 30. It's definitely a different animal than the 15. The 15 has got a little bit more sort of drive earlier on than the 30. There's a bit more headroom here, of course. Different sort of speaker configuration as well, as being louder. But yeah, I mean, these are perfect for pedals. Make sure you check them out in stores if you are into your sort of stomp boxes, and get in there and plug them in, and it will give you a whole wonder of different clean sounds for your pedal platform. So thanks for watching. I hope it's been useful, and yay, it's Blackstar's 10th year, and more stuff coming soon. Very exciting times. See you soon.